recording. This makes me nervous, but we can cut it and we can make it better. That's
Boom.
Fine. You're good. Water. Hopefully I don't
We
trip.
got triple water.
We got triple waters. We've got room for the Holy Spirit in the middle.
There we go. Let's always set a table for him. What did your shirt say?
But it says never better.
Love.
Actually, I am going to move this. That's a good call.
The Holy Spirit doesn't need it.
Yeah.
The living water, you know.
Yeah.
He probably doesn't need any extra help on that.
Yeah. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this month's episode of A Moment of Friendly Introspection with Stephen Floyd, the honest, conversational, creative podcast about stuff that we talk about. I don't remember the intro. It's okay. This month's guest is my friend Bay Turner. What's up, bro?
What's up, guys? What's up, Stephen? Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. I feel like we have to talk about it on camera. On the way here, your car combusted on the interstate or something.
Well,
I haven't
can we
seen
just
the
give a
damage
little
yet.
context here?
Please do.
The time before we hung out, I got an allergic reaction to saffron. Throat closed up.
That's true.
That was fun.
That was
So feels
fun
like
for
there's
me.
always usually something.
Yeah.
And on the way here, I'm driving and I heard some weird noise, and then all of a sudden, in my rearview mirror, cars are swerving, and pieces of my bumper, I'm assuming, are on I-65 right now. But that's okay because we made it. Cheers.
We did make it. Why does this stuff keep happening to you? Do you know?
You know, I think about it. My grandma always says all the time, if the devil can't get with your mind, then he'll mess with your environment or your body.
Huh.
And I was like,
That might be a word right there.
because I've done a lot of work on my mind.
Yeah.
And the last year has really been marked by a bunch of just mental healing and
Sure.
resetting. And I feel like I feel some strength in my mind that I haven't really ever felt before. And it seems like everything else in my life is falling apart. So I think Grandma might have been right on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, shoot, let's stay there.
Yeah.
All this work on the mind stuff.
Yeah.
Why did you feel like it was essential to do that? If you can and want to share any
Yeah, I would
examples
love
of
to.
how, I think the people might like to hear it.
Well, I got engaged, when was this? December, actually, yesterday, 1 year ago. So December 9th, 1 year ago.
Wow.
And I think everybody kind of expects that when you get engaged, it's like peaches and cream, and then marriage maybe is hard. I think all of it is hard.
And you're right, it is.
Engagement was like not what I expected at
Yeah.
all. It was like, okay, we have made this commitment to each other to be married, and then now my whole life is blown up. Career-wise, mentally, like
Yeah.
I struggled with mental health like I'd never struggled before. All this stuff started just sort of coming out. And I think it was like a great purge that needed to happen in order for me to walk into marriage with success.
Sure.
And yeah, I think that purge was just highlighted upon, listen, I'm from Texas,
Yes.
and everybody in Texas, there's this like cultural Christianity thing, and everybody puts on this like fake
Preach.
smile.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's something about the South, like Bible Belt.
No, totally.
Everybody just pretends like everything's okay.
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, it is not okay.
Yeah.
I think that's why I really loved living in New York City, because it was like everybody was just honest. Like, I'm having a bad day, get out of my way. Or today's the best day ever. It was just
Yeah.
not this like fake sort
good
of
point.
like pretense all the time. And I think that catches up with a person, especially when you're an artist and you're asked to look inwards every day. And
That's well
asked
said.
to like kind of draw out from yourself these songs and melodies and lyrics, and whether you're a poet or a painter or whatever you do artistically, I think the call is to go deep and
Yeah.
look inward. And when I began to look inward, it was like this stunting. Like I couldn't get to the level that I know that I was supposed to in order to create well.
Yeah.
And I think the engagement season is what tipped off, like, either I can bring in all this crap from my past or I can deal with it now before I walk into marriage.
Yeah.
And that sort of started like a year of just healing, which has looked like therapy, like childhood trauma healing, which has been something we could talk about. Very interesting work.
Sure, yeah.
And yeah, that's been kind of what this year has been marked by for me.
Yeah.
Was that.
I have so many questions, so many comments. What do you think success looks like in a relationship? Not even to put all, like, because you're not going to have all the answers, and that's fine. But like, I don't want to have it feel heavy, like, oh yeah, in my perfect relationship with my partner, this is what we do. But just like for you, in any relationship, friendship, romantic, family, what does success look like?
I think honesty, because I think we all have to be on. We all have things we struggle with. We all have things that we've gone through. I think a big thing for me was like my past. My soon-to-be wife was like, grew up on an island in the middle of nowhere in Italy, and grew up with a mom, Christian mom, and just really like did her work. Like she just dealt with her stuff before we moved into like relationship, and I didn't.
Yeah.
And I think it took me a while to say like, yeah, this is like I struggle with X, Y, and Z. And I'm dealing with X, Y, and Z. I think I thought I had to come to the relationship like with perfection. But when I was able to just say, no, I'm not good today. Like, honestly, I'm not feeling my best. Honestly, I've been struggling with this, or this was something I had from 10 years ago that's coming up now.
Yeah.
I think that looks like success to me. And then I think it's what you do with the honesty that matters too. Like, if my partner can't feel safe to say like, I'm mad at you and you did X, Y, and Z to make me upset, and can't trust me with a response that's constructive or positive or helpful, then we're not doing relationship well, I don't think. And I think that's one thing. My fiance and I are not perfect by any means.
Sure, yeah.
But we both come to the table with mutual respect for one another. So I think respect and honesty looks like success to me.
That's good, man. Jeez.
Let's get into it.
Let's go back further. Let's go back to Texas. Tell me about growing up there. Like, how'd you get into music stuff, find the things you loved, all that?
It's so weird. I feel like, this is going to sound strange, but I feel like it wasn't until I was maybe 23, maybe?
Okay.
That I like, no, that's a lie. Maybe 21.
Okay.
Until I felt like I woke up or like started living life. I don't know. It was like it was a weird existence in Texas because there's this, like I told you, this pretense and this sort of like masking of all that you feel and think. And then there's this religious context, which I would consider myself religious, but I think not in the same way that I grew up around. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so I think that was a really, really weird thing when I moved to New York, and I was like, oh, there's a whole extra way that a whole different way that people like exist. And I think in Texas is very one-dimensional. Like everybody that's in Texas, you live, breathe, eat, sleep Texas. You don't know culture outside of Texas. And I think I kind of came up in a time like when social media was just beginning.
Yeah.
I didn't have a cell phone until I was like 14 or something.
Yeah, okay.
Like we had like Vine, which was 6-second clips. And then I think this age of like everybody, like you can go on Instagram right now and go to my page and see pretty much like everything I stand for and think about, whatever. My whole life is on the line out in public for people to see. And that's mass majority of people's situation. Yeah. And so I think growing up without that, I think that was harmful for me. Some people I think need to keep their stuff to themselves.
Most people.
But I think I needed that outlet of like social media, to speak of like social media. Just to be able to say like, this is what I'm feeling and thinking, just a way of expression. Because it's not, especially as a man growing up in Texas, self-expression is like, you don't do that.
Let's talk about this, because I felt some of that growing up in Alabama too. And you can add the element of being black on top of that. You're already
I can't help you with that one.
True. You're already different, just visually. If people look at you like, okay, this guy's, can he hang with us? Can he stick with us?
That's so weird.
Right?
People are strange.
They are. But also like being creative and musically inclined, like people start to think and say things, and like
Oh,
those things that people
Welcome to my whole
thinkers
life.
say is like the worst thing you can be in this
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
And that sucks.
Yeah.
So like trying to overcorrect to prove you're not who they think you are.
Yeah.
But you don't even know who you are. It's a whole weird
Dang, that
thing.
goes hard, Steven. That's so crazy. You know, it was funny because I know what you're hinting at. Like
Yeah.
people always call me. My name is Bay. People call me gay.
It's right there.
Like it was. They were screaming for it.
It's right
And not to
there.
mention, I'm in show choir like that.
Yeah.
So I wasn't really doing myself any favors there,
Sure,
for
yeah.
being honest. But that was something just in like total truth, transparency. It wasn't anything I ever struggled with. I've never struggled with my sexuality.
Yeah, me either.
But it was something that I was like, am I supposed to be gay?
Right.
Like all these people think I am, but my dudes are just like my friends, and I'm not sexually attracted to them at all.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
what the heck? And so I think that was something that I really like wrestled with because I thought maybe that's
Totally.
how it's supposed to be. Then I moved to New York where it was like, who cares? You can be a purple onion and people don't give a rip. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
that was healing for me.
Yeah.
I think I needed a couple years to just be around people that are free to express. Like I was on a tour. I just got off the tour yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. And I was around this girl and she talked about, she's from California.
Cool.
And she talked about how, like, her parents, she was like a really big tomboy as a kid. And then she was super girly, and now she's like very feminine, whatever.
Sure.
But she said she was allowed to just be who she wanted to be.
What a concept.
And I'm like, my parents never said, you can't be X, Y, and Z.
Totally.
But I don't think they had to for me to feel the pressure.
Ooh, yeah.
Like, I just was like, ooh, I'm supposed to be like this specific kind of guy and do the
Yeah.
thing. And so, yeah, that's interesting. We share that same sentiment.
Definitely.
Growing up.
And it was so difficult. But I want to go back a little bit. You were talking about just like Texas kind of feeling like it was difficult to have self-expression, especially creatively. Was it always music for you, or did you have like other creative things that you were diving into?
I think sounds really crazy, but I always enjoyed doing people's hair.
Interesting.
And I was really good at, I'm still very good at it. And so like,
Okay.
I got into it. My little sister, she was, whatever, without getting into a long story, she didn't have like a really strong mother figure
Sure.
to help her, whatever. And so I started learning how to do like braids and all kinds of
Yeah.
stuff on her hair. And then I ended up I've done weddings, photo shoots, quinceañeras, like
Dude,
all the things.
I
And
had
then-
no idea.
yeah. And so that was something I was ashamed of at first.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, I'm going to be the best husband and dad ever.
Right?
'Cause I'm going to get to help my wife and like girls that I have one
Easy,
day.
yeah.
With
Dude.
that. So I think I've always been somebody that was very like, it's been bubbling up in me my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I needed like in New York, I'll have to pull up some pictures. I looked insane for like a good year because I just needed to do it for
Yeah,
myself.
for sure.
Like whatever's on the inside needs to just come out. And now
Yeah.
I'm like able to fit into society a little bit more, and I'm happy to be
Yeah.
who I am and do what I do.
Yeah.
But I needed a second to just express, and that was a result of feeling like I couldn't, I think. Yeah.
When I was in high school, my mom had some kind of braid in her hair, and like she went to the salon to get it done for the first time, but then like the next few months after that, she was like, I'm not going back and paying for that.
Yeah.
So she was like, Steven, you'll do it for me. I was like,
No way.
What?
Okay, so
I
my
was
boy
like,
knows how to
oh.
braid.
I mean, no, that was like literally 3 or 4 months of my life. And every time I was like, why am I doing this? I don't want to do this. And it would take like 3 hours to like re-braid all our
It ain't
it's-
easy.
It's not easy at all.
Yeah, it is an art form.
For sure.
I think it's so cool.
For everyone else, y'all can have that.
Yeah, I got you. I'll hold on to that for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go back to some music stuff. How, if you can remember, how early did you figure out like, oh, I like singing, or I have a talent for it?
It's kind of a weird relationship too, and I think
Yeah.
it's just like as I'm speaking, I'm having revelation. It's,
Sure,
I
yeah.
actually, my fiance's name is Carla. So if you guys hear that name, Carla, that's fiance. She showed me this video yesterday, and she said how did it go? Either you're a talk to think, or you're a think to talk. I am 100% beyond a shadow of a doubt, a talk to think.
Yeah.
I have to like verbally process. For instance, like if we're deciding on where to go to dinner, I'll say, oh, I'd like to go to sushi tonight. But then I sit and I say, or Thai, or Mexican, or this and that,
Yeah.
and I weigh every option out. For her, when she says, I'd like to go to sushi tonight, she's decided that.
That's how I feel, yeah.
I am the opposite way.
Yeah.
And so anyway, saying that to say, growing up in Texas, and I'm verbally processing with you out loud now. I don't think nobody ever once said like you shouldn't sing. Actually, people always celebrated it. Like every time I opened my mouth, there was like a response. It was positive. But I was so ashamed of it, and so I held on to like I'll never forget. I was maybe like 12 or 13, and we have the Turner side has these huge like barbecues.
Cool.
And all the time, like every weekend. And we had this big barbecue that came up, and I got up and they had a karaoke machine, and I started singing for some reason the Star Spangled Banner. I was feeling it patriotic.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm faced away from, there's like all of these people behind me, and I'm like in my own world, always in my own world when I sang, especially as a kid. And I'm singing this song, and I slowly hear like everything dying down behind me, like the talking and the drinks and the cooking, it's just silent. And I look back, and it's my whole family, and they're like, what? Like they'd never heard me sing like that before.
Yeah.
And I guess I just was caught in a moment where I thought nobody was paying attention. And I think that was the first time I realized like, oh, like what comes out of my mouth maybe could matter.
Oof.
And it depends, which was like
That's good.
something I never really conceptualized of like, oh, there's importance to my words, and there's even more like, I can really make an impact if I sing.
Yeah.
And so then I started singing all the time. It's like I felt like I got permission in that moment for some reason. And then that just began like an exploration, I think, of what that means to me. Now, singing and music is just 100% like self-expression.
Yeah.
And maybe 1 times out of 10, like 10% of the time, it's healing or it's I'm working through something or whatever.
Yeah.
But previous to that, 9 times out of 10, it was like, I'm making this music to express something that I need, like I'm really, really holding on to something, or I'm working through something, or I'm anxious, or I'm sad. That's what music was used for.
Sure, yeah.
But I think I've worked it out of myself enough that it's like situational and less like part of my journey. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But
do you miss how impactful that was?
yeah, we're always, I think, trying to get back to childhood.
Sure.
In one way, shape, or form. And I feel like I always go back and watch. There's a video of me on YouTube when I was like 9 singing. I was singing like a Robin Thicke song, which was like
That's wild.
Go off
at 9.
and then I like morphed into this. That was a song.
Hey, there it is.
And then I morphed into I Have Nothing by Whitney Houston.
Oh, come on.
And I was just having fun. I'm like, I have a big, huge white shirt on that's dirty. I look homeless. But I was just a little kid that was just expressing himself.
Yeah.
And I feel like I go back and look at that and I'm like, you need to always remember what it felt like to just have it be like a natural expression. So I feel like this industry, I could cry. Are we about to cry?
We might. I've only cried once in a show. It might not even be out yet. But yeah.
I think it's like hitting me now, like how much this industry takes that away from you, like the real innocent joy of making music, because it's about a product that has to be sold, which in our industry, in Christian music, that product is bringing people to the Lord, so it's okay with me. But I think that the process of making a product out of a human is very dehumanizing and very stripping of, I think, the very like essence of why we do it.
Yeah.
And so I'm always trying to find my way back to like childlike innocence and faith.
Yeah.
And sometimes I just gotta watch that video and say, like, little Bay could never imagine like that this is what he gets to do. And little Bay also would probably check older Bay and say like, hey, remember why you're doing this. Like keep this at the forefront of your mind. And I think when I get to that place, like when I'm songwriting or when I'm performing, that's when people connect the most.
Yeah.
They don't connect with this like perfectly curated version of myself ever. And so I think in order to have success for me, I just got to go back to that little boy and express from that place, you know?
I think you're touching on something that's true, not just for music and the commodification of all of that, but just
okay, word.
If I can say it right. But any sort of thing that you do as a hobby or as a true love, and then you try and turn it into a job, it just gets bastardized. Like it's not what it used to be. Now it's work.
Yep.
And work has stipulations, it has expectations, things that you just didn't have when you were a kid.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's hard.
I was
so hard.
talking to my manager, and he said he manages Mercy Me, and he was saying that one of the guys in the band, Bart, said, let music be like not a job for as long as you can, because at some point, in some way, shape, or form, it's gonna be your job.
Yeah.
In some way, and I'm like, no, don't let it be. It already is in some sense, but yeah.
Advice I tell young artists, because like sometimes they're thinking like, okay, how do I expand my network? Like, how do I get bigger and better? I'm like, now is the time to have fun. The moment you add more people, you add a manager or like a booking agent or even a label, it's just like expectations are there that you didn't have anymore, and it's not going to be as fun. Hopefully it is, but like the more people you add to the thing, the harder it's going to get.
That's what Daigle said. First time I met her, Centricity had a event thing, whatever. We went to one of her concerts in LA, and she said to Natalie and I, she said, this is a time to dream.
She's right.
And like, don't forsake that experience and that whatever. And I was like thinking to myself in the moment, no, it's not. Like, this is the time I've got to get myself like together and get myself right. And I think now I'm like, she is 100% right.
She was right.
Like, this is the time to dream and give myself permission to say like, I can do anything. Right now is the only time I get before the whole world, like maybe the world gets to know who I am.
Yeah.
And I'm in this like sort of in-between spot where I get to kind of create the narrative.
Yeah.
Which I guess even for those people that maybe feel like they're too far gone to create a new narrative, it's such a falsity, because I think we're always growing. It talks about in the scriptures, we're going from glory to glory to glory. We're always shifting and growing and becoming better. And I think if you don't give yourself permission to change, you're missing out on a lot. And it's dumb. Why wouldn't you want to?
You're right.
You know what I mean?
Staying the same would be boring.
No thanks.
I really subscribe to the biblical concept that the best is yet to come. There's so much beauty and hope in that phrase to me. But I've started tagging it with the best is yet to come, but things will only get busier. So like,
you ain't lying.
do what you can now, have fun now. It'll only get busier from here.
Yeah. You ain't lying.
Sadly, I'm not.
Life is crazy.
I did want to go back yet again.
Yeah.
You talking about
Hit me back.
finding self-expression in the hair stuff, and then like early singing, loving that, but also feeling a lot of shame associated with those things.
Yeah.
Like, where do you think that comes from?
You know, I think it's interesting. I'm gonna get to your point. I think the shame thing resulted in a really big struggle with self-confidence for me. And I think like, I go back to my fiance a lot because I just learned so much from her.
Yeah.
And I think anybody that you do relationship with at that level, you learn something from.
Yes.
And she like, I've never heard her talk down about herself. She's not, if you know her, she's not somebody that walks around on her high horse and is like, I'm the best that there's ever been, ever.
Yeah.
But she just has this way about her where like I can get through this, I can do this. I like my outfit today. Like there's a positive like self-talk. And for me, I'm like, oh my God, they're not gonna like me, and this isn't good enough, and my hair's in the wrong spot, and maybe like my body is not this way, and my voice sounds too feminine, and maybe my music isn't interesting. It's like my self-talk is not ever or has not been positive, something I'm really working on. And I think that comes from feeling like part of myself was not good enough, wasn't like worthy enough for people to hear. And that like stuffing down of self produces, I think it's in the scriptures, it talks about you'll know them by their fruit. And I think my fruit was so rotten for a long time until we talked about this year of like real healing. I like myself. That took me a minute to get to, but I really didn't like myself for a while because I didn't play football. I wasn't 200 pounds and 6'2" with all the girls all over me, whatever. But I think it makes me sad to think about like all the beauty that exists within me and around me and on me that I just disregarded for a long time because I didn't think it fit somebody else's narrative, you know? And so that was tough.
Hey.
Yeah.
That's good. And sadly,
I like myself now.
Good for you.
Yeah.
I feel every bit of that. Goodness gracious. And you're hitting on something that so many creatives go through. Just like, my thing isn't good enough.
Yep.
But it's easy for me to tell someone else, like, oh yeah, you're doing great. Like, keep going. That's awesome. But when it comes to their own thing, they struggle with that self-confidence.
Yeah.
And how do you feel, how do I say this? In this year, have you learned how to separate the work with your identity?
I think that has been the thing.
Yeah.
I think it wasn't until, and you know the story, but in 2020, I had a tumor that I found in my chest. And long story short, I went for a surgery. The anesthesiologist ripped my vocal cord, paralyzed it, and I lost my ability to sing for a while. I had to be silent. And that was where I really wrestled with that exact sentiment. Like, the difference between me, Bay Turner, self-worth, and what I do well and what people have praised my whole life.
Yeah.
The separation of those two things was the healthiest thing I've ever done for myself. Because what happens when those two things are combined is when I fail on the thing that people usually praise me for, then all of Bay Turner is not successful now too.
Yeah.
But when I'm able to like segment and put that part of me, which is part of me, singing and music and being creative is part of me, but it's not all of me. And when I'm able to separate the two, then I can go through a lot more without feeling as like damaged.
Totally.
You know what I mean? But yeah, that's such a good, like, can we hashtag that or put it somewhere? Like, learning to separate those two things are so important. And I think they're vital because being a creative, the thing that I suffered with in New York was the creatives that I knew, they taught me a lot. They taught me how to like come out of my shell and do the thing. But that's all some of my friends were.
Yeah, sure.
Was they're only creative, but they're also sons or daughters. They're also like, they're good with their finances, or they work in HR. Like, there's like the boring parts of life, quote unquote boring parts of life, are also just as important and just as worthy. Aside from this part of you that maybe seems extraordinary, like all of you is extraordinary.
Yeah.
That's just one facet of your extraordinariness. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's something I had to figure out. I think is like, I can't just be Bay Turner singer creative. Like, I'm also going to be a husband, and I'm a friend, and I'm a son, and I don't know. I had to really like live with and love the other parts of my identity too. Yeah. You know?
Well, sheesh. On that note, we're going to take our first break. We'll be right back.
Cheers, folks. So, oh my gosh, I realize they're probably going to think I'm a hunchback. Let me sit up straight.
Welcome back, everyone. Still just talking about whatever comes up. I don't remember what we just said, but that's because you told me something that we shouldn't be said on the show, and that boggled my mind.
We'll keep that between the two of us. Sorry to put that image in your mind.
No, it's okay. It's fine. I would love to talk more about your life as a musical artist.
Yeah.
How's it been? You've only been at Centricity, at least at this time recording, a year and a half?
Yeah.
Is it everything you ever dreamed it would be?
Yes. No. It's been such a like a beautiful process.
Yeah.
It's really crazy. I don't know if you even know this, but I came to Centricities, which my boy Steven, thankful to him because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. I went to the Centricity retreat, which. These people, should we give them context?
I think I've talked about it before, but the very, very short version is there's a place in Washington State where the owners of Centricity live. They have a lot of land and space, and they're kind enough to invite all of Centricity's staff along with some independent artists that the A&R team, which I'm a part of, we find
you are
throughout the years, however long it's been since the last one, and we think, these people are really talented. We'd love to get to know them better. Let's go to Washington State, stay with them for a week. No cell service, pretty much. We're just gonna pour into them for a week, us, the Centricity staff, and we'll come back. And it's kind of a really good A&R tool. Like we get back and we decide
We like
Bay was a
him.
great hang. We really like his voice. We see an artistry in
Thanks,
him.
dude.
Like maybe we could work together. So yeah, that happens every year, 2 years
Yeah.
or so, whatever.
Yeah. So I did that.
You did.
And then I came back, and at the time, so I'd moved from New York City. I was living there for a couple years, and then moved back home to Texas, met my love of my life. And so, little context, Carla and I started dating October the 26th. I moved to Nashville October 31st.
Goodness gracious.
And so it was like a big whirlwind of life, but
yeah.
that's been my
That's
whole life,
you,
always.
yeah.
So I'm used to that. But I moved to Nashville, and I said to my family, to Carla, I said, if in 6 months nothing's happening, or there's not some sort of like indication that I'm supposed to be here, I'll leave. I'll come back and I'll do something else. The first week of the 6th month was our conversation at Onyx and Alabaster with John.
No way.
Which was, or on whatever it is, where we
Sure,
met
yeah,
with John,
yeah.
Whatever, one of the coffee shops in
Yeah.
Tennessee. And
That's
so I was
crazy.
like, I know. And I was like, okay, Lord, got you on that. And so it's just been like a big trust fall ever since.
Yeah.
I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing, but
No,
I'm
sure.
having a good time.
That's a blessing.
It's been really, I mean, to have anybody believe in you is important. But to have a full team of people say like, we see what you have, see where you can go, and we want to be a part of the process has been so like validating as a human being. But it's funny because before that validation, I felt validated. It was like, let me explain that better. I don't think God, or whatever the people of this podcast believe, I don't think God, I don't think he would give me the opportunity to walk into this centricity thing without having some sort of self-worth prior to.
Sure.
Because what an unhealthy thing to only find validation when other people see it in you. And I started the journey of loving me and like all things self-love before I signed.
Yeah.
And so I think that was like paramount for me. And I feel like it seems a little suspect. Like I wonder if maybe opportunities, like people that are waiting for an opportunity or some life-changing moment to come, maybe it's gonna come after you love yourself more. You know?
Ooh.
Like maybe that's the thing that God is waiting on, or the universe or whatever is waiting on you to
I'm
find.
clipping that.
You know?
Yes.
Well, because how unkind would it be to trust you with this thing that you've been dreaming about and praying about and putting on your vision board if you're not ready to have it, like to hold it well?
Yeah.
And I think like my daily prayer is, Father, please do not elevate me to a place that my character is not ready to sustain me, because I'll ruin it. If I put myself there, I have to keep myself there.
Yeah.
I have to sustain myself in that place. And I think God in his kindness was like, no, let's heal first. Let's do which we're always on the process of healing, but there were some big things that I went through before centricity time. And it's been cool to see, like to get to walk in the like fruit of that time, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Sheesh. Man, that's a lot of good stuff in there for sure. So
Go ahead and clip that.
Don't you worry. Yeah, you came on our retreat and we came back and the team was just like looking stuff over and be like, yeah, we really like Bay, we want to sign him. Ended up signing you. And
They've regretted it ever since.
I know I have. No. That's a joke. I love you.
I love you too.
From my perspective, and we're recording this at the end of 2024, you've only had 2 songs come out, 2 original songs.
Yeah.
You have versions of the first song that came out.
Yeah. No, I get what you mean.
How have you felt about the process of releasing a song with a label? For me, I felt like it's been slow. I would have loved to have do more, more often. And maybe that changes in the future. I would love for that to be the case. But as a newly signed artist, how was your label experience?
You know, I'm going to say this wrong.
Say it wrong.
The Marines, I think, or somebody, one of those people have a saying that slow is fast and fast is slow.
Okay.
And I didn't understand that until I got signed.
Interesting.
So I feel like in order for me to get, as an artist, from point A to point B successfully, is one day at a time, one step at a time.
Sure.
Very painstakingly slow.
Sure.
Whatever the grammar is. But if I go from point A to point B and I skip the steps, I'm going to have to go back at some point.
Yeah.
And so going slow is really the fast way to get from point A to point B, not going fast, because then you're going to have to go back and slow down. So I feel like for me, in retrospect, I wouldn't change a thing.
Yeah.
In the moments when I'm like, I have so much I want to put out and express to the world and do.
Yeah.
And like, in all reality, like, I'm not marketable in the Christian like marketplace until I have more music out.
Sure.
And so I thought to myself, I can't do what I want to do until it's there, but I also can't do what I want to do unless I take the necessary steps to get there well and efficiently.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I wouldn't change a thing. And if anybody is in this same like spot, please don't rush ahead, because every one of the writes that I did, 100 writes or whatever it was, every one of those songs that didn't work out, or relationships that I might not have again or do or work with the people again, not because they sucked, because they were amazing. Every single person that I've worked with so far has been like an addition to my life.
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that you are gonna like spend the rest of your life writing with those people, right?
Totally. Yeah.
But every one of those writes, my like muscle for writing grew, my like heart expanded, my heart went deeper, like it was all necessary for the process to get to finally being able to put some stuff out.
Yeah.
Now that we are, I'm like, okay, let's do more. I'm like ready for the next couple things. But yeah, it's been a slow process, but the best.
Yeah.
I wouldn't change it.
I think that's good advice for any young artists, musical artists.
Yeah.
It's okay to go slow. What really helps is having a team that believes in you.
Yeah.
So like it could be one song a year, but like if they're
they
putting
believe in
their
it,
all into that one song every year,
and that's all it takes too.
Yeah.
It only takes one song. You look historically at some people, like I've been really inspired by Megan Woods.
Yeah.
It's so cool to see. Like I met her when I first moved to town. I think we moved similar time.
Okay.
And the Common Noble boys, shout out Common Noble boys.
Yeah.
They had a housewarming party and she was there, super sweet. I think maybe she had, which we'll talk about this, it's not all about followers, but I think she had a couple thousand, I don't know.
Sure, yeah.
And just really new to the business, whatever. And then now we look back and she's like #1.
Right?
All over the place.
Yeah.
Everybody knows her song. People are singing it in Africa, whatever.
Yeah.
It took one song.
One song.
It took one song to connect with people. So that's like, for me, okay, it only takes one song and then period. That's awesome, amen. And like, there was somebody that was talking about when I was working with Matt Hammett.
Yeah, okay.
On a write, and he said, what's hard about this business is like, you go up and you get to the mountain peak point of your career. You like won the Dove or the Grammy or did this amazing tour or whatever.
Yeah.
And then inevitably, you're never gonna get to that high point again, ever. You're never gonna get to that.
You're right.
And people spend the literal rest of their careers trying to get back to that point, and you're never gonna get it unless you're CeCe Winans and you're just always topping yourself.
Of course. Yeah.
And so I think I don't wanna rush ahead to my mountaintop moment because I'm also gonna have to maintain for the rest of my life. And so when it's time for it, God knows, I'm ready and I'm open. But I sure don't want to get ahead of myself.
Sure.
You know? Yeah.
A little bit of a shift here.
Shift it.
You talking about just like growing up and finding things you're good at, but feeling a bit insecure and all that.
Yeah.
Were you very good at pouring into other people? Is that easy?
That's a point that I forgot to make. Yes.
Okay.
I've always, like, I get a high off of encouraging someone, and I'm like, why can't I do that for myself?
Oof.
Like, why I can tell these other people,
Yeah.
let's just keep it real.
Let's do it.
I'm not gonna say names because that would not be good.
Okay.
But I had a concert that I did, and this human got up and sang, lovely, wonderful human.
Of course.
Completely bombed.
Sure.
Which I've done it. I will do it. Everybody bombs. And they got off the stage. The last thing they needed was me to say, ooh, that was really bad. They needed some encouragement to say like, the people don't even know this song, you're new, whatever.
Whatever.
And to me, I thought to myself, if I bombed, there's not a world that exists where I would encourage myself like that. And so why? What is the disconnect? Like, why can I encourage other people so well, but I can't get myself to that same point? And that like realization was kind of a rabbit trail and like domino effect from my healing because I love other people. I love making other people feel good and walk in their purpose and all the things, but I couldn't find a way to do it for myself. And that was a weird kind of realization for me. Did you feel the same?
Good Lord. I mean, I still do, of course. It's so difficult for me to have any sort of positive self-talk. And
What the heck, Steven?
hey man,
How do we get there?
I don't know. And I was talking on a different episode with a guy recently, just like, it's going to take double duty to combat what has already been set in my brain for the past 20 years of the way I've been speaking
Yeah,
to
that's
myself.
true.
And that's just so hard. Like some days I win, some days I don't. But just like having a super conscious and concerted effort of like, you look great today, or you're doing a great job, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's so hard to come by for me.
Yeah.
But I'll encourage anyone else.
You're very good at it.
Thank you.
Usually it's those that are good at it that struggle with it themselves though, right? I feel like,
I guess so.
yeah, I think that is also true. You say, it's been 20 years of you speaking this way to yourself.
Yeah.
So give yourself some time. It's like, I
right.
watched this podcast the other day actually that talked about like healing from past relationships. And they said, if
What's the
you were,
link? I might need it.
let's talk about that.
I'll talk about it.
If you were in a relationship for 10 years, it might take you 5 to heal.
Oh boy.
So the duration of the relationship in our like, with
boy.
the study of neuroplasticity and all the brain stuff that I have no idea about, it takes half the time of a really, really like life-altering relationship to like get to a place where you're over it.
Yeah.
And I had one of those. I was in one for 5 years.
Yeah.
And I look back and I'm like, right around the 2.5, 3 year mark, I was like, oh, I'm good.
Yeah.
Like I think I've healed from this thing. So that's encouraging.
Sure.
At least it's coming.
I've got some time to go then.
How long was yours?
It was about 9 years.
4.5.
It was like dating and married. So yeah, I'm only a year and a half.
As long as there
out.
was impact, they say. So whether you were dating or married doesn't matter because it was still
sure.
impactful, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whew.
Dang.
Got a journey ahead.
Don't we all?
For real.
Dang.
Yeah, let's go back to music stuff.
Yeah.
You were saying you just got off of a tour. Was this the biggest thing you've been a part of yet as an artist?
Yeah.
We don't have to go into all the details, but just
No.
like getting back from that, how did you feel? Because you weren't the main, you weren't the headliner, you
Yeah.
weren't the opening act, you were a background singer for
Yeah.
this group called Maverick City Music, which is like a big worship group in our space. So how did you feel as an artist, a singular artist,
Yeah.
singing background for another artist group? Sorry, I'm hitting you with the big stuff.
No, this is, I think I just learned so much about myself, about the world, industry, whatever. I feel like our biggest show was 28,000 people, which
That's a
was
lot.
overwhelming to say the very least.
Sure.
There's a lot of people there. And then I think to myself, like, there were 28,000 people. Like, that's the coolest thing ever. Like, 28,000 souls were there that I got to sing in front of. And then towards the end, I got to sing solo, which was
Sick.
wild. But it's so weird. I was more nervous. I did a tour, 2 tours before that. I did a small tour with churches, and there was like maybe 200 people in the audience.
Yeah.
That was way more nerve-wracking to me than 28,000.
Interesting.
I think because it's like unfathomable how many
Sure.
people are in the audience. You don't have time to process it, so you just do it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was like kind of like a do it afraid thing.
Yeah,
Like people say
yeah.
just do it afraid, just do it scared. It was, it just happened.
Yeah, it
so
just
I'm
got
still
back.
processing. But I think I hate a tour bus. I think seeing a lot of people like that. This was a weird thing. This was like the out of body thing for me that I'm still like, what?
Yeah.
I would get in the tour bus, which was a double decker, and we had 15 people on it, which was like,
wow. It's a lot.
no comment. And we would drive, say, like from Cincinnati to Michigan.
Okay,
So
wow.
I would
Good
be
Lord.
in Cincinnati underneath this stadium. I would perform for 20,000 people and be like on a high, get back in this bus, close the windows, and then you drive out in the middle of the night, you sleep, and you wake up underneath another stadium again.
Wow.
And then you get in, sing in front of 20,000 more people. And it's like, I'm not a human. I'm not like a functioning, I'm not seeing the light of day. It was just like overwhelmed, like just hard to compute, I think. But I think it put in perspective, like there were 28,000. We sang for a total of 500,000 people in total over the whole tour.
Oh my gosh.
Which was like, what?
Oh man.
But then I think to myself, my song, which who cares about numbers or whatever, this song that I put out has 120,000 streams. I thought to myself, I have a context for what that means
Yeah.
that I've never had before, like 120,000 people.
Yeah.
I know what 20,000 of them at the time looks like, and then you multiply that.
Yeah.
Like the ability that we have to reach people, especially with our, like the part we play on the spiritual aspect, it's overwhelming. And I can see why people, like, I can't tell you how many people in this industry I have met that struggle with mental health,
Sure,
that struggle
yeah.
with anxiety, depression, eating disorders, like
real.
the craziest stuff.
Yeah.
Because look at the like impact we're making. Even like, not even for someone like you. Also, with someone like you that's not on the front lines,
Yeah.
but is making decisions for what happens on the front lines,
Sure.
you're a part of it too. Like every person from somebody that deals with social media to the president of a label, like every in-between person is I think the impact was just put in perspective for me.
Yeah.
And it's overwhelming to think about. And so cool.
Yeah.
And I'm ready to go back, but also like I might need my own tour bus, so if Centricity could maybe fork it over, that'd be nice.
Sure. That's a great point. It's easy for me in my position creatively at the label, being your A&R person, of like, okay, I'm going to help Bay create his best art of the moment. And then once it's released, it's his. Like he's singing the
Sure.
songs, he's touring it, all that stuff. But I did play a part in that, and I'm so glad, especially
did.
when you add on the message we're trying to impart to people. Just like, wow, might get emotional here, but just like the fact that the Lord has placed me where I am, me in your life, me in the life of Centricity, in this moment right here to make brand new or praise the Lord. It's
Yeah.
just like,
It's crazy, right?
it's so crazy.
I think we've been, you and I specifically have been in this building process where it's like, we haven't been able to see and still aren't fully at the place where we're seeing the fruit of the last year and a half.
Totally, yeah.
I think we're just now starting to see like a rabbit trail. We've been like underground, undercover,
Yeah.
with writing and putting visuals and all this kind of stuff, and it's about to all be released into the world.
Yeah.
And that is like the most exciting thing to me because I'm so proud of what we've gotten. And I think it's taken like stories. It took some trial and error to like find our stories is the name of a song.
Yes.
Also, we
which
have
is not
stories
out
to
presently.
tell.
Maybe it'll come out one day. I
Who
don't
knows what's
know.
gonna happen with that. One day.
Yeah.
You guys might hear it from the light of day. But it took a process of like something not working.
Trying something and failing.
And failing.
Yeah.
Which, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a fail, but it also was a positive too.
Exactly, yeah.
And so I think that process of like something failing working in my favor gives me like the aptitude to fail harder and bigger and better over and over again because I know if it wasn't for that failure, I wouldn't have that win.
Yeah.
I know that's like such a hallmark thing, but like fail, and be okay with it because each failure you're on your way to the next like success.
Yeah.
The thing that's like a life-changing moment for someone, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going back to just like our relationship creating your music, part of that feeling is why I created this show. Like I felt like, yes, I was being moderately creative and encouraging and helpful and doing the A&R work, but I didn't feel like I had my own creative venture. Like it's not my name on your songs.
Yeah. Should be. You've done the work.
But like, I just got to thinking like, wow, like, how do I be creative for myself? So maybe this is a message to anyone watching or listening. Just like, if you're in a creative space, or if you're in your career job, or if you're just looking for something new, a reason to live, even try something that you just love. Like, create.
And you don't
something.
need someone's permission.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think the most incredible creatives of our time didn't need someone's permission to like make the Mona Lisa or sculpt the David or what. Those people didn't ask for someone's like yes for that.
Yeah.
They just went and did it. I think that's like the most beautiful thing and good on you, Steven.
Thank you.
That's huge. Finding an outlet is so important because then it informs the rest of your life. Like if you're able to have this creative part of your brain work, it's like, I feel like our brain is especially men's brains, are compartmentalized in a bunch of different areas. And I feel like if you're not using one, then the whole machine isn't working functionally.
Yeah,
and I feel like while you might not see the correlation between being creative and being, say, analytical, I think that if you exercise one and the other, then they work in tandem to help maybe just, I don't know, live your best life and do your best, make your best work and do your best thing, you know?
Totally.
That was a real professional way to say that.
So having said that, what are your hobbies? Like, what do you do outside of music?
Yeah, I love cars.
Oh.
I've always loved cars my
I
whole
don't
life.
think I knew this.
Yeah. One day, I'm going to have a Porsche 911.
Okay, yes.
I want one from like
Can you drive stick?
Oh, yeah.
I can't. I want to learn that.
I'll teach you.
Please.
It's so easy. I learned on an old farm truck in Texas where the stick was up here. And then my dad,
Okay.
like an old.
Yeah,
And my
yeah.
dad had a little Toyota Tacoma pickup truck where the stick was down here.
That's fire.
And that was like, I prefer a stick shift. Anytime I get to like rent a car or whatever, I always want to find one that's stick shift.
That's sick.
Which they don't make them that much anymore.
Yeah.
But anyways, I love cars. So I'm like, the thing that like, you know how like some men will just like sit and veg out watching football?
That's me.
Okay, you are some men. That doesn't do it for me. But I can sit and like, I literally will go and like research 2025 Toyota Camry air conditioning system or something. It's like my brain, I am fascinated by the way those machines work and all the new stuff. I'm not so much like an old car fan, like the 50s, 60s, whatever.
Sure.
I love like a vintage Porsche, I'll take that, or Aston Martin, or Jaguar, or Mercedes, whatever. But I just love cars, and I love to cook.
Okay.
So I have two things, I think. Cooking, cars, and my fiance, Carla.
We got
Take
there.
up all
There
my
you go.
time. See, and Christ! Hallelujah!
Oh, Lord. That's great. Like, I'm a big tech person, so just staying up on tech stuff, but also getting more into like visual creative stuff. So like movies and like really cool tech channels.
And here you are.
And here
doing
I am.
creative stuff.
Trying to do the thing.
Okay, this is a tech question.
What's up?
So my buddy Austin on the tour, he's in part of this group called the Jaywalkers.
Okay, yeah.
And he had these glasses that you put on and you look up and it's like in green lettering, like he had his whole like chord chart and stuff on it.
Yeah, sick.
Have you heard about these?
Never.
It is, it's like I'm looking at your regular glasses.
Yeah.
They're not thick, like there's no projected like huge visual thing. It's just like the old timey black and green computers.
Yeah.
It's like that, and you can't see it on here. But he's literally looking like he can see full lyrics,
That's
and
nuts.
he scrolls with his eyes and does things with his eyes. It's the coolest thing ever.
Sounds nauseating.
It kind of does. Have you looked into those Apple Vision Pros yet?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
They're so expensive.
I'm like, I would first of all break them in a heartbeat.
No, for sure.
Glass.
I think they're kind of lame right now, but
Maybe they could be cool.
there's a tech reviewer named MKBHD that I watch all the time, and he's constantly saying about things like the Apple thing or AI or whatever new tech things people are coming up with, electric cars. Right now is the worst they will ever be. Which is scary to think about.
Oh my
Especially
God.
with like
iRobot.
AI, with like AI, exactly. So thinking that, like the Apple
You have the
thing is just
timer,
like,
right?
yeah.
Okay, cool.
The Apple thing is just like, okay, it's a great idea. It can do a lot of cool stuff, but like the fact that it's tethered to a battery, the fact that only lasts like 2.5 hours, that's kind of crazy.
2.5?
Yeah, it's kind of wild.
Okay, that's dumb.
Yeah.
Come on, Apple. Like I could do any better.
No, really, yeah. So it'll get better from here, but I don't know, it's fine.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, technology scares me a little bit. Because sometimes I grew up, like my dad lives in the middle of nowhere, Waller, Texas, on some acreage with like a bunch of animals and stuff. I grew up, like my childhood was on a farm, basically. And I am always itching to get back to that place. Like when I lived in New York, it's utter chaos all the time, full of technology. Like it's just like the prime example of like where the world is headed.
Yeah.
And then I left and I came back and I stayed at my dad's house for like 2 weeks. It took me like the whole 2 weeks to detox from my time there.
Wow.
But I was like, I think I'm better suited. I love the city. I love to visit, but I think I'm better suited for simplicity. Like give me like a normal toaster. I don't need one with the screen. You know what I mean? Like, I just
Yes.
want a simple life, I think.
Yeah, a simple life with a toaster with no screen. On that note, we're going to take another break. We'll be back with the questions.
See ya.
I love that.
Give me a toaster.
Welcome back, everyone.
Hey, everybody.
We have now entered the section with the 10 questions. The 10 questions I'm asking each guest, they're all the same. Just getting different answers from people in my life. So having said that, here's question number 1.
Do you keep getting same answers? Or have they all been different?
They have all been pretty different except for one,
Okay.
and that's number 5. People have been saying like a broad answer to the question,
Oh, I'm so interested.
and I've been trying to break it down like, okay, what does that mean? Yeah, we'll get into it.
Okay, I'm ready.
Question 1. Do you remember when we first met and what you thought about me?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
You know what's crazy? Usually my discernment on a person is like when I meet them, I know who I think they are is who they are. With you, it was different.
Interesting.
I think, how deep?
As I don't know.
I noticed a shift in you, I think, after your whole
Interesting.
situation for the positive.
Okay.
I felt like
I received that.
there's a part of you that is so you bring such like a settled energy to the room, and I feel like there's like a, I don't know if you feel it, but there seems to be like a wave of confidence or something that I felt, but it's like personified differently
Sure.
now. But I think my perception of you, in some senses, were the same. You're super sweet, kind, and very intelligent, and very like musically inclined, like such a good ear and good taste for things.
Interesting.
And that hasn't
Thank you.
shifted. But I think like the interpersonal stuff, and maybe it's just because we've gotten to know each other
Maybe. Yeah.
deeper. But yeah, I think my perspective. That sounds so like Hallmark. I wish I could go deeper, but it's really true.
No. I think you're right. I can't remember which episode it is, but at some point I did talk about this and just like feeling like I have gotten more confident over
I
the
feel
past
it.
year and a half. It's just like,
I'm like,
that's so wild.
Okay, Steven.
And part of it was like I was just forced to figure out who I was on my own because I went from leaving my parents' house at 18 and moving in with my best friends and going to college, but like still around the corner from my parents.
Was that
like,
with Gamble?
Living with Gamble and 2 other dudes. So like being out of the house, but still like close enough to family. And I was dating the person who would become my wife at the time. So like things, not much changed. Then I transferred to Lee University and like was still dating my girlfriend who became my wife there. And like we had known each other forever. So like we kind of knew it was gonna end up in marriage. Like there wasn't, I don't know, this might sound weird. For me, it didn't feel like there was a need to find myself because I found my partner already.
So you like found yourself in them.
Exactly.
Ooh, that's tough.
It's so tough. So like us evolving our relationship together, but not individually, then we get to the place a year and a half ago where we do break it off, and I'm just out in the world now. I'm just me, and like, who am I?
That's interesting, Steven.
Yeah.
It's like I felt you on a discovery process.
Maybe.
Like the hair's changed. Some outfits changed. Like
The hair
I just
was
felt you
nice.
trying new things.
Yeah, the hair. I miss it a little bit.
I loved all of it. He pulls it off all well. I know the camera, you can't see it all, but he pulls it off very well. I think it was inspiring for me to see because at the time that you were splitting off from your relationship was when I was beginning mine.
That's true.
And I was like, ooh, okay, I
Yeah.
need to do this well because I don't want, my sister's going through a nasty divorce. I have a bunch of family that's gone through some really hard times in that sense. So I'm like, let's do this right the first time.
Yeah.
And go through the hard crap first.
Do it,
Yeah.
please.
You're inspiring, Steven.
Let me try and answer this. The first time we met, I believe it was just on a Zoom. You were at an airport going somewhere. I think you were
Boys
going to
to Men.
Vegas. Yeah,
Yeah.
to sing with. And you were kind enough to give me about 30 minutes before you started boarding or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was so hectic and so wild, and I felt so bad. I was like, "Oh man!" Like,
And nothing
I'm making
changed.
this.
Dang it!
I was like, "I'm making this guy do this before he goes off and has fun doing whatever." And funny enough, this was like a month, 3 weeks before that Centricity retreat that you ended up at.
It was 16 days.
Yeah, so I was nervous, especially like as a newer person to A&R, going out on the limb and telling my boss, like, I think we should invite this guy, even though it was 3 weeks away, and I haven't met him yet. And we had a 30-minute talk, and then I thought it was good enough, and then we had another talk with Maze on, and
I'll never
he
forget
liked you.
that. Thank God.
And then, like, we really hung out a lot at the retreat, which is a blessing. So at the retreat, I guess I could say that's where we really
Connected
and met.
Yeah.
And like, I was like, this guy's great. To be real with you, I was like, someone sent me your TikTok singing Alabaster Box.
Yeah.
I was like, this dude's nuts. I gotta talk to him.
Yeah.
But before our first Zoom, I was like, there's no way this guy's cool. Like, he's gotta be a piece of crap. I mean, look at him. Jeez.
Dang.
But then we talk, I was like, I love this guy.
Yay.
And then we actually hung out. I was like, oh yeah, for sure.
You know
This
what?
is my
I've
dude.
gotten that a couple of times. I'm like, I need to start talking more or something on my Instagram because
Maybe
a
you
couple
do.
of people that I met on this tour that just knew me from Instagram at first were like, I thought you were going to be mean. I'm like, mean? I can be mean?
Like, what do you mean?
Shut up. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Perception is so fascinating to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good one.
Yeah.
I like that question.
Okay, number 2. How do you feel about our relationship now?
I love it. I think I want to go deeper.
Do it.
I think we've had a lot of success so far, and I think we're going to continue to, hopefully, for a long time.
Yeah.
Which, well, anyways, it's my brain just goes a million miles an hour. But I think I want to go. I think in order for us to like really understand each other and continue like building in this working relationship we have, going deeper is always great. And I feel like every opportunity we've had to do that has been chaos.
Kind of true.
And so I'm like, we need to just find time to just keep building, I think, that like relationship.
Yeah.
So I love you as a dude. And I think what I crave, especially after signing and just kind of getting a taste for the industry a little bit, is like genuine connection. And not connection because I have to be there.
I'm with you, yeah.
Or I have to, or it's mutually beneficial, or I can get a right out of somebody, or they can get a cut from me or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, I like the human thing. I need that from people more than I thought I needed it. And that's why like I considered moving out of Nashville and like getting a job somewhere back in Texas or some random state. So I was like, I think in order for me to preserve my creative process,
Ooh.
I have to like not be around people that are, for lack of better words, like bastardizing what I can bring to the table.
Yeah.
Or prostituting it.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? Because I think it's with anybody. Like I can see how a Whitney Houston ends up like a Whitney Houston, God love her soul, or a Michael Jackson, or these people that are like disturbed, like have heart problems.
Yeah.
Not to say, let me stand for the record, that I'm a Whitney Houston or a Michael Jackson at all.
That's what I heard.
Oh shoot, that's why people think I'm mean. Bay Turner thinks he's Michael Jackson.
Yes.
Okay, let me go back. Let me get serious, Steven.
Go for it.
Come on.
Sorry, that's my fault.
I think I'm just now being able to even conceptualize of what somebody like that might go through.
Sure.
Because that's the nature of our business.
Yeah.
And so I think all of that to say, I love you. Our relationship, I think, has been really sweet and has been really edifying for me. And something that's been like a source of a lot of confidence
That's good.
and peace. It's like because you bring such a steadiness and I bring such a unsteadiness, I think. Actually, I'm not going to speak that out.
Yeah,
Let
don't
me
say
start
that.
speaking positively about myself.
There you go.
I think having that like as a constant in my life has been so, I think, healing, because most of my relationships in life just have not been that. And I think sometimes you attract who you, excuse me, I just had a little beef jerky before I came in here. You attract who you are a little bit.
I thought you were going to be serious.
You know, I can't do it for too long.
You're right.
And so I think Hopefully they didn't hear that gust of
No,
meaty
fine.
wind that just came past the mic. But
Lord.
I think you attract who you are.
Yeah.
A lot of the times, and I've attracted a lot of healing. I've attracted a lot of healing people as I've healed, and you've been one of those.
Wow, what a blessing. I'm happy to be part of that section.
I'm like, JK. Imagine.
Yeah. Shoot, you said something that I wanted to hit, but I forgot what it was. I'll answer the question here.
Yeah.
I feel good. It's been interesting, which is never a good descriptive word, which I've realized.
Interesting.
Let me try and explain this.
Yeah.
I think our work relationship and our personal relationship have been kind of separate.
Totally.
Which is not my experience in the other people I've been working with so far.
Interesting.
And I'd love to have them merge more, like it is with them. So like, there's definitely respect and love on both levels, but they seem kind of separate.
Yeah.
And
I think so,
maybe
too.
that's good for our workflow. I don't know.
Dang. What does that look like practically to you? Like maybe there's more serious conversations and we get the work stuff over and then we're...
I think it is that. I think like
Interesting.
it's 4 times out of 5, we're just talking about life and things we're excited about and looking forward to. And then also, work also, that's the thing that's
Like,
happening.
let's like run that in.
Yeah. Maybe it's that. And like I said, like it's good in both things, but like I don't see you as often as I might see the other people I work with, or we don't just randomly talk as much.
Yeah.
And like, not that it's good or smart to compare everything to everything else, but like it's something I've noticed and I've thought like I should be more intentional about just like saying, hey, what's up? Had any saffron today?
No.
What was your last emergency room visit? How you doing?
So stupid.
But just like, I've noticed that I could be more intentional in just reaching out about whatever comes up.
Yeah. Let's freaking do it, dude.
Let's do it.
I'll see you at the cookie making party. Rice Krispies.
Yes. Yeah. I actually do want to talk about that. And I'll solidify
Rice
it.
Krispies?
Yes, I'll solidify it in this
You guys
episode.
can't come. It's
Yeah,
too many
sorry.
people.
Every year, and this started, this year will be the 8th year I've done it in a row.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. I don't like gingerbread. I think it's disgusting
Oh,
and useless.
okay. Sorry to gingerbread.
Yes, of course. So 8 years ago, me
Big
and-
gingerbread is shaking right now.
No, yeah, they should be.
Yeah.
8 years ago, me and my ex-wife, we decided to create a new Christmas tradition, and we went to Walmart and we saw that Rice Krispies like had this train mold set that you could make. So like you buy Rice Krispies and make them as normal, but they were selling these like plastic molds into trains, and you put the made Rice Krispies into that, you smash it down, and then you take out the mold and you decorate the mold. And I was like, oh, let's do this. So it started one year, we loved it. Picked it up the next year, added my friends, Jonathan and Sierra. And then
They've been at it for 7 years?
I think the second one they were a part of.
Oh
which
my
is
gosh.
crazy.
They're OGs.
Yes, they are.
And have a baby.
I know.
Congratulations.
So yeah, from then on, we were just like, either we did it just ourselves or we had people over and did it together. The past like 3 years, it's been a whole big thing. And then like when I did get divorced a year and a half ago, the first year was coming up. I was like, oh man, do I continue this tradition or not?
Yeah.
Like I kind of love it, but would it make me sad? Like, would it be too hard
Sure.
to handle? But I was like, you know what? Screw it. We're going to do it.
Yeah.
So last year was the first one. You were there. It was a
That
great
was a
time.
good
It was
time.
the biggest one yet. It
I
was
killed.
like-
I felt great about my thing.
I never feel good about mine.
See, positive self-talk, Steven.
But no, there's evidence that it sucks, so it's different.
Okay, that's true.
Yeah, so this one coming up will be the biggest one yet. I think I'll have like 20 people over.
Let's go.
And we're just gonna make Rice Krispies and make them into trains and decorate them. It's gonna be super fun.
Or not trains.
Or not trains.
Whatever the heck you want to make.
Jonathan Gamble likes me to just make a side for him
Mold.
just to eat. So we'll be making trains and then also just a little bit for
How
John to
fun.
eat.
Traditions.
Traditions.
I love a tradition.
I don't. But
Oh, hey! We would hate
like-
each other on holidays. All I do
really?
is traditions all day long.
dude, I don't know. Like if I can make it my own and make it fun, that's cool. But if it's just like we've done this because we've always done this,
Yeah.
that I'm not a fan of.
Not your boy. I'm like, my great grandma Petunia
Yeah.
used to put this by the Christmas tree, so will I.
Well, okay.
Dang. Traditions versus non-tradition.
Yeah. Okay, question 3.
Let's go.
Still on our relationship here. We'll see what happens. How can I be a better friend to you?
Oh, Steven. Let me think about this.
Yeah.
I think what we touched on, like, I think we both can do better about just reaching out just because.
Sure.
You know, I think that's, honestly, that's my biggest issue in male relationships. Is like feeling comfortable to say like, hey dude, love you, how are you?
Yeah.
What's going on? That's like, any relationship I ever had, like friendship with a woman was like naturally happened.
Yeah.
But with guys, I'm like, they'll be fine. They're
I
dudes.
feel this
You
so
know?
much.
Maybe we need to just take a nod because like it blows me away. Like my fiance can call at 4 a.m, 35 different women that will come with a pot roast and like cupcakes and a gift at all times for all things, no matter what.
Yeah.
I don't know many guys that have the same situation.
Yeah.
And I think in an effort to be like masculine or cool or whatever, we pretend like we don't need each other.
Yes.
But like we do.
Yeah.
We need each other. So I think that would be it. Mm-hmm.
I am so guilty of this.
Yeah.
It is just a thing that it seems like men fall into. Just like, yeah, that's my bro, but we ain't talked in 3 years.
Yeah.
But like, I can still hit him up and we talk, which is awesome, and I love that.
Yeah.
But like, what if you didn't wait 3 years?
Right. Or your bro dies. Or, you know what I'm saying? There's
so
like,
true.
There's so many missed opportunities, I think. Whew. And it's healing, I think, honestly, to like the little kids in us.
Yeah.
To have like good, healthy, close male relationships. I think it's so vital for us as dudes to have. I think women just do it well naturally.
I think you're
And
right.
I don't understand the psychology behind it, but maybe a little bit I do. But I feel like for dudes, we have a hard time with that, like genuine connection.
To get kind of deep here.
Yeah.
I think for me that comes from not feeling that close to my dad.
Ooh.
And that was just normal for our relationship. So growing up, like that was just like,
Dang,
okay,
dude.
yeah. Here we are. But I was so close with my mom. So even now, like I feel like my relationships and actions around women are just like so much easier and more natural.
More free flowing. I'm the same way.
But with guys, it's like, okay, I have to try to be something, I guess.
Dang. So do you think that if you healed that part of yourself, maybe it would be easier? And how do you do that?
That second one, I have no idea.
Gosh. We need help.
Yes.
Any therapist watching, please hit us up.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea, but maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. Oof.
God bless.
Okay, we're gonna move on.
Move on.
Question number 4.
It's getting too deep.
Question 4, what matters most to you right now?
Ooh. Okay, a lot of things matter to me.
Yeah.
I would say healing.
Sure.
I would say healing. I know that's like a really broad thing, but I think I've noticed the results of my unhealedness, how it's robbed me of a lot of peace and joy in life. And I've seen the fruit of like really tackling my stuff.
Yeah.
Like really, really going through it. I think for a long time, I just skipped over the things that gave me issues because I thought maybe they just go away.
Yeah.
And they don't. They just sit and fester. And so I think priority for me in this season, especially getting ready for marriage and wanting to make sure I don't end up in divorce and all the stuff that I've seen my whole life, is healing. And I think that looks like being kind to myself, talking it out with people. I mean, there's a lot of different venues for healing for me. But that's been my priority, I think, like in daily life is something I think about. Is this helping me or is this hurting me? Is this healing me or is this just putting me like back in a trauma mindset or whatever? That's like a inner dialogue that I have a lot, which I think is a weird thing to say. Everybody probably said Jesus or like their phone or something, but healing, really, truly, I think is my number one.
I don't think anyone said Jesus or their phone, so I think you're fine.
Okay, well, a lot of bad Christians on this podcast.
You had the opportunity.
Dang, you right.
My answer for this episode, and I'm trying to have a different one for each one, which has been kind of difficult. It's keeping perspective in mind. In so many different ways. Like in the work sense, I heard someone say this, there's no such thing as a musical emergency.
Ooh.
So like
That sounds like a John Mays.
Yeah, it might have been.
Dang.
So just like,
That's kind of lit.
yeah, it's
There's
good.
no such thing as a musical emergency. Everything has felt like a musical emergency in my life.
Right?
Every emergency, even in the emergency room, I'm being musical.
That's true.
Dang.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a good thing to fall back on. It's like, okay, what matters right here? It's probably the relationship, or no, just hard stop. It's probably the relationship, not like the deadline or the sound that you would rather have used or whatever. It's just like, okay, no emergency.
It's
like
not
there's
the music.
there's time for this.
That's so good, Steven.
Yeah.
Dang.
So for the work sense, that's kind of how I'm feeling. For like life, just personal stuff, it's just like, geez, look how far I've come. Look how much more confident I am.
You're killing it on that front.
Thank you.
Dang, dog.
The best is yet to come. It's just like, wow, what a blessing this is to be right here, right now.
Who are you going to end up with?
You weren't listening to me at all, were you?
No, I was. But it just hit me in the moment when you said confidence and how we talked about how we attract who we are.
Sure, yeah.
I'm like, are you going to attract a baddie that's
Hey.
confident in herself?
Anyone
Probably.
watching?
Any baddies watching? He's killing. He's a great dude. Oh my
Oh
gosh.
dear, what have I done? This is a mistake, obviously.
He's like, cut the cameras. Cut the cameras.
No, but yeah, like the specific of matters most has been kind of hard for me to nail down. And sometimes I haven't had an
The
answer.
specific of matters most. That's so good, Steven.
Yeah, it's just like, I don't freaking know, dude. Even though I'm doing this show and
Yeah.
it's called A Moment of Friendly Introspection, I'm not that introspective. I don't sit down and think about stuff.
Ooh, I'm the opposite.
I'm bad at that. Like, I don't think about like past or future. I hardly think about present. I just do stuff.
You just exist.
So like, thank God I have the show to think about stuff like
Heck
this.
yeah,
It's
trained
just
your
like-
brain to do it. I don't know
Like-
why, but I am very introspective. And I was actually I talk about my fiance a lot because I think that's just like
Oh,
where I'm
that's
at
great.
in life is
Yeah.
that relationship is growing and developing. She, for instance, if some bad thing happens to her at work, she comes home and pretends like nothing ever happened. And then a month later, it's like, remember when I didn't, and it like all comes out.
Yeah.
With me, my bumper falls off and I'm probably gonna like cry about it in the moment and then I move on. So I'm always like processing like with each bit of information my brain is intaking, I'm immediately processing it and
Yeah.
moving on from it. And so I don't have a lot of stuff from like my life that I really am like super, super holding on to because
Yeah.
I'm just always introspective. But I think my fiance processes like a dude.
Okay.
And I process like a woman in a lot of ways.
Interesting. Yeah,
And that's kind of working for us. So I think we need to maybe come to center, both of us.
Sure,
you
yeah.
know? Yeah.
Interesting you said holding on to. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be back with the next question.
Let's go.
Welcome back, everyone.
Hey guys.
We're still in the questions, still figuring out life one question at a time. Yeah.
Womp, womp, womp.
Okay, question number 5. What are you holding on to that's holding you back?
Ooh. Okay. How many things can I say? No, I'm kidding.
many as you want.
Oh, that's so much.
This is the question that most people have said fear, and I try to be like, okay, can we be more specific
Oh
about
no.
that?
Fear? I don't know about fear.
Okay,
Maybe fear, but in a more nuanced way.
sure.
I think I'm still processing through confidence. I've definitely found a whole different like way of existing with like positive self-talk. But for some reason, and I don't know if it's because we've come up in like an age where all of a sudden like beauty standards shifted and all these kinds of things have changed.
Sure.
But as a dude, you think, well, I'm just supposed to get up in the morning and put a hat on and like you don't take a shower and you don't care about what you look like
Sure.
and whatever. But I am not that way. I'm
Yeah.
not built that way. I've never been that way. And I think I struggled with feeling like, okay, this is gonna be deep,
Go on.
kind of deep.
Sure.
or maybe a little just honest. I'll never forget. I went. My dad's brother, so my uncle, asked me to go on a deer hunting trip, and I loved hunting. I love the outdoors.
Great.
But I remember I was so uncomfortable because I forgot my moisturizer.
Okay.
And I was like,
I'm
that's
sure
like,
it's cold out, right?
yes, but I was like, I need it. I'm not like worthy to be around people unless I can moisturize my face, which in retrospect was so dumb. But I'm like, but then I was afraid that if I told somebody I needed it, they were gonna call me gay.
Of course.
Or like, I don't know, just that I was a woman or feminine or something.
Yeah.
And I started thinking to myself, like, why do I always feel the need, or why did I always feel the need to like have to have something that I put on or feel or whatever that made me confident.
Sure.
And so I've been doing these things that have been really nice, where I force myself to go out in public with a like mismatched outfit, or without like doing my hair or putting on cologne or whatever. Like doing these things that made me feel really good. And then I noticed nobody's response changed to me. And so it healed a little part of me, but I think I'm just along on that journey.
Yeah.
And I think once I step fully over that, then I think that's gonna open up more opportunity maybe.
Sure. What a good answer.
Okay.
Man.
Yay. What about you?
I think it is, this is, I'm gonna have a fear related response this month. But to be more specific, it's the fear to try to be emotionally available again.
Ooh.
Even just the fear of trying is kind of keeping me where I'm at.
Yeah.
Which is so
the
weird.
fear of trying, like in a relational context.
Yes, because like I know I have experience being emotionally available. I know I can do it. I enjoy doing it. It's great. I think it leads and continues healthy relationships. But I mean, like we were saying earlier, like maybe it does take half the time that you were in a relationship, a real impactful one, being out of that and to getting into something new and feeling like you're over the last thing.
But maybe part of the healing is doing it again.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
But right now, the fear of even trying to be emotionally available again in that context, it scares me. It kind of keeps me up at night.
But maybe it's not. Being emotionally unavailable is never a good thing.
Sure.
But I think you went through a traumatic experience.
Sure.
It's trauma to go through what you went through, period. And I think you wouldn't tell somebody that maybe experienced a different type of trauma to force themselves out of it.
Totally.
Because of some societal standard. For instance, like you're not going to tell somebody that maybe tried to commit suicide, like heal quicker and do it better.
Yeah.
Which obviously it's like apples to oranges, but it's the same root. They're both trauma-based. What you went through with your relationship, you probably wouldn't give the other person, somebody else is in your same scenario, the advice like, hurry up and become more emotionally available so you can move on with your life.
Totally.
This is not how it works. So I wonder if maybe this season is just about like truly being emotionally available for yourself.
Maybe it is.
First.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how you really, I think my issue, I don't understand the rest of the world because I think I'm too emotionally available.
Sure.
Honestly. And it's like bit me in the butt in some senses. And so I think I'm working the other direction, saying, no, you don't get that part of me. I keep that for myself.
Ooh, that's
you
good.
know?
I don't think I struggle with it in my friendships. Like I think, like you were saying, like in the growing confidence since you've known me, I mean, I've had to lean on other people, like with how I'm feeling, what I'm going through, and that's been so helpful. Like usually, I'm a classic avoidant personality, and like, okay, no, I can shelter it. I can do all this on my own. I'll just isolate.
What is that like?
It sucks.
Sometimes I wish I could do that more. Like my brain just, I don't know how to avoid it. I like can't go through my day with some of the things.
Oh, man, for me, it's just like, you know what? No one cares. I hardly care. I'll just bottle this up and I'll deal through it later. Like,
dang.
And then like,
Steven,
I don't deal with it, so it's not really that helpful.
To probably not do that, right?
Yeah, but like with this situation, I was like, okay, we're not doing the thing I've always done. We are reaching out to people. We're telling them what's going on, how I'm feeling about it, and it's been such a blessing. So like doing that has kept me incredibly emotionally available with all my friendships.
Praise God.
Amen. But considering doing that with a romantic partner in the future, that just scares me. And I can tell, like,
Maybe the Tesla robot will just do it for you. You won't have to worry about it anymore.
Maybe you're right. But like, I know that is a hurdle that's being created in my mind. Like, it will be beneficial for my next romantic relationship.
And if a hurdle is being created in your mind, it can also be destroyed in your mind too.
Amen. So yeah,
Dang.
I know it's there, and that's kind of half the battle, knowing that that's there.
That's
so we can be like,
deep,
you know what? Let's get past this.
You're making my brain think. Because my grandma, it's so funny. She's so wise. R.I.P. God bless her. She used to say, if you can talk yourself into trouble, then you can talk yourself out.
Whew,
and I was like, wait, that's so true, Grandma. You're so smart. Because it is all like battles that are won or lost, all are won or lost in the mind.
Is.
And so let's get our minds right.
Ooh.
Let's get them together.
Get your mind right.
Get your mind. Is that a
Get
song?
hey, maybe.
Hey, don't steal it.
Okay.
Next.
Number 6. When was the last time you made yourself proud?
Oh, this tour.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. You want to tell me? I'm going to tell you why. So I did 2 tours before. I did this church tour thing, and it was 50 churches, 50 dates, with just at a bunch of churches, and I struggled bad with like anxiety stuff, like stage fright stuff, whatever. My very first day, I got off stage, I called Carla, fiance, and I was like, I can't do this. It's not for me. And then the next day, I had the best time of my life. Yeah. So I was like, okay, maybe I can't do this. But I went on tour and sang for 1 billion trillion people, and didn't have one moment of anxiety, not one.
Wow.
And so I was like, oh, I'm more in control of this thing than I thought.
Yeah,
and I think a person that wins a battle in the mind, I think is maybe on the top tier of strong.
Yes.
Because
totally.
I'm not, with what I'm about to say, I'm not like forsaking these people's experiences, but if you struggle with a disease or you struggle with a disability or whatever.
Yeah.
The hard part of it, the disease and the disability, is physical. But the worst part, I think, is what happens in the brain and in the mind. Like, will I ever heal? Will I ever be good enough? Will I be normal? Is it okay? How do I exist if I have a disability? If I'm, don't look like everybody else, or what? I'm just like dreaming up scenarios in my brain.
Yeah.
I think somebody that struggles with an ailment or an illness that can't be seen physically and overcomes it, I think is like hands off to you. I think that's the most amazing thing. So I'm proud of you for doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How in the world does someone as talented as you are get stage fright?
Dang.
Like really, I don't get it.
I think that's so nice. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
I think it's my own expectation of failure. Like I expect myself to not do well or to disappoint me in some way, shape, or form. And I'm like, I think as a kid, it's a weird thing to share your art. And then to share your art for money.
Sure.
And then to have a team of people tell you your art is good or it's not. Yeah. It's like, oh my gosh, it's so weird for a brain because my art, my creativity, my creative self began from a really deep-seated place of joy and fear and all the things. It's like if you're LeBron James and I tell you your 3-point isn't good enough. It's like, okay, maybe it was the ball or maybe it was the chord or maybe my muscles were off that day. If somebody tells me my song isn't good enough, it's like they're saying I'm not good enough.
Totally.
And so I think I think because my art is so intrinsically tied with who I am, it opens up the door for a lot of rejection and fear. And so I think that's why. Now I just don't care. I'm like, if you don't like it, you don't like it. I like it.
Yeah.
So come and enjoy or not. And then usually 9 times out of 10, if I enjoy it, somebody else is going to also.
That's a good point.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they can see me enjoying it. I think the hype of watching somebody perform on stage is watching them have fun.
Yeah.
And them revel in the moment. That's what I loved so much. My boy Chandler Moore, I watched him. It's like he got on stage and he stood up. I would watch him run up the side steps and let me sit down. Run up the side steps and get onto the stage and just it was his home. Every note that he sang, every action that he made was a instinctual thing
Yeah.
that came out of him naturally. It wasn't like, I've got to look like this and I've got to
Sure.
walk like that. It was not a like premeditated thing. And I think a lot of my art came from a premeditated place, so it became a source of anxiety for me.
Yeah.
But when I just let myself do, I think I can enjoy it more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to stay here for a second. Adding on the faith element to your music.
Ooh.
Why was that important for you? Because like you could have made
Yeah.
any
kind
sort of
music.
mainstream or niche thing. You chose to go with Christian music.
I think people can glorify God in a lot of different ways. You can glorify God as a pastor, you can glorify God as an electrician. Everybody can find a way to bring glory to God. It doesn't have to be like you're like reading the scriptures and whatever. And I think I just knew, it's like I've had a knowing for a long time that, 'cause I was an opera singer, you know this, for a long time. I got up and sang in front of thousands and thousands of people, these incredible notes and all these fast phrases and cool parts. And I never felt like I was truly like when, okay, this is gonna sound weird, but like when a machine is working really well, my grandpa used to say it's humming.
Of
like
course.
it's doing the thing. And I didn't feel like I was humming in the sense that like I was utilizing every part of me when I
Yeah.
was doing this other thing.
Yeah.
But when I started singing about God and utilizing my experiences with him in the like words that I use, it's like I felt like I was humming.
Yeah.
And like I'm all parts of me are working in tandem in the way they're supposed to. And I think it's just kind of a knowing. Like I know that's what the music I'm supposed to make. And if I make other stuff, that's cool. And if other people like it, that's even cooler.
Yeah.
But for now, I know that that's the area I'm like, I'd hate to say like called to.
Sure.
But because I don't think nobody's like, I don't think called to be like a multimillionaire famous artist.
He could call me for that.
Hey, call him, Lord.
The line is open.
I think you're just called to like express, and then if God wants to bless it, he can.
Sure.
But I think I'm called to express in that way, you know?
I love that.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
I didn't answered the question yet. What was the question? Oh yeah, I'm proud.
Dang, I always rabbit trail, don't I?
No. I love it. That's what this show's about.
Okay. You should call it
last
rabbit
time-
trails. Rabbit trails with Stephen Floyd.
Yeah. Last time I was proud. This is very rare for me.
Okay, being proud or this what you're about to say?
Well, both.
Okay.
I went to a local show in town of this big band group called the Smoking Section.
Okay.
And it was started by this guy named Tim Akers, great pianist who has since passed.
A
but-
pianist?
Easy now.
A great pianist.
Pianist. Person who plays the piano. Good God.
He's gonna strangle me at the
He
end of
has
this.
since passed.
Oh, dang. I'm sorry, Lord. God rest his soul.
Yes.
Are we allowed to cut?
But the band that he started, the Smoking Section, they still continue to do shows in Nashville, and
Okay.
it's a great time. Huge band.
Sorry. Huge band, huge pianist. It is what it is. Got it. Noted.
Oh God. Okay.
Lord, forgive You know I can't help myself.
I know.
Okay. I'm serious now.
Of course.
And shall we clap again?
They were doing a show in town, and Shimmy, who I work with, who will also be on one of these episodes.
Gotta love the Shimster.
Of course, he invited me out. I was like, yo, have you heard of this band? I was like, yo, I totally have.
Yeah.
Because like literally 10 years ago when I was in college, me and the guys I was living with, Gamble and two other dudes, most of the time us hanging out was just like throwing stuff up on the TV, watching YouTube videos, watching Vines. So like Tori Kelly doing some crazy singing stuff. Yes. Or like even like Pentatonics or some of the stuff. And then one of the guys throws on this band, like this YouTube video of them playing Uptown Funk.
Ooh. It's like that.
It's nuts.
Smoking Section. I will be listening.
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
If I can make it home. My broke bumper.
So true. And I was like, this is incredible. I need this in my life. This is awesome. So like every, I don't know, year or so after that, once a year, I'd throw that on and be like, oh, I got to see this again. Just
Yeah.
because. And after Tim had passed, I was like, oh shoot, I guess they're not a band anymore. But then finding out, like, no, they still do it, just not with him. I was like, yo, I got to see this live. So I go out. They play that version of the YouTube video, of the YouTube cover of Uptown Funk.
They played it when you went?
They played it live.
Oh, that's
I was like,
sick.
this is insane. Oh my gosh. Loved it so much. And it was like a 2.5-hour show. It was a long show. And this was an older crowd, too.
Okay.
This was like...
Well, you're getting up there too, Steven.
Not quite there. This was like maybe 50s, 60s, because like they're playing old, not old, but like 70s, 80s, like
Which is,
R&B
in
stuff.
my opinion,
60s.
some of the best, always.
Of course. I love it. So like I'm jamming even though I'm 28.
Wait, it was R&B?
And like, I mean,
60s,
of
70s,
the
80s
time.
2 is like
so
the
like Earth, Wind, and Fire, Isaac Brothers. Stuff like that. Yeah, sick.
The best.
And with that big of a band, it was just like great time. Shimmy, who had brought 2 friends, who were ladies, he's the ladies' man.
Okay,
was
Shimster.
like, they were hanging out, and I'm a singer. I am not a dancer. Let me make that very clear.
Did you pop it, lock it, and drop it on the dance floor?
I was out on the dance floor.
Steven! Okay.
Which was so rare for me. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, why
Do we need to get a little sampling of the moves?
No.
Okay.
But yeah.
That's
like,
huge, Steven.
The last couple songs, I was like, you know what? Yeah. No one's going to care.
You want to know, that is something, I want to say maybe 4 or 5 years ago that I overcame, same thing. And I feel like
Okay.
I was always nervous because I'm white boy and like I don't really have like a lot of rhythm.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Well, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not a dancer either.
Yes.
But I went to this like dance class. It was like a merengue class.
Yeah, cool.
They taught whatever. We took a class. I took on a date with this girl.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, this part of my body, like I can do this. Like I can move. And so when I gave myself permission, it sounds so funny, but like when I gave myself permission to do that and mess up, it's like I gave myself permission to do that in every other aspect of my life too.
Ooh.
It was interesting.
I haven't experienced that yet, but...
Keep dancing!
Yeah, maybe I just gotta keep
Well, you know
doing
what?
it.
This is so interesting, and I'll find the study and look it up, send it to you, but have you seen this is gonna be weird.
Okay.
Have you seen the article that talks about the correlation between unreleased trauma and twerking?
Oh.
It is fascinating to me. Apparently, our bodies.
And you wrote this, right?
It was on me, Professor Turner here at your service.
Yeah.
No, apparently our trauma is stored in the hips. It's real.
Shakira write this?
This is real. Your body apparently stores trauma when you like they did some sort of study and found people that went through traumatic situations like fires or car crashes usually had hip issues.
That's wild.
And they found that that's where like the body would tighten up, was there. And so then apparently there's a correlation between twerking and releasing your trauma. So Steven and the folks watching out there, if you need to release, just twerk it out. Twerk it out. Maybe at home, maybe not around people at first, and just let it be glorifying to the Lord. Amen.
Yes.
Oh, I'm glad I got that off my chest.
I'm so glad you did.
Thanks.
I don't really know how to respond to that.
Okay.
Other than to say...
Shall we clap again?
I guess we'll move on.
It's the truth. Look it up.
Okay. Question number 7. What was the last piece of art you consumed that inspired you?
Okay.
Okay.
I actually have mine. I didn't think I was going to be able to find one because I'm always consuming art.
Sure.
I did a whole deep dive on pointillism.
Okay.
And I think the people that, like in French Renaissance paintings, that create that kind of art, I think are psychopaths.
Interesting.
Because you have to literally dot your way through a masterpiece. And I think that's so crazy.
Yeah.
But I thought, what an amazing thing. Like, sometimes I get annoyed with myself that, like, I don't say I show up for a write and the next day I don't have a number 1 hit smash on my hands.
Sure.
And it's like, oh, I gotta kind of like carve out the mountain a little bit. Like I have to like work at this thing slowly day by day.
Yeah.
And the best like art and the most interesting art is not ever made to me. I don't think made quickly and overnight.
Yeah.
I think it takes some real work. When you're a sculptor, you're like literally sculpting and like putting final touches. If you're a painter, you make EDM music, whatever it is, there's layers to what you do.
Yeah.
And you're never gonna be able to just like do it. even like songs that I've written quickly, the process of writing and then putting it out is not overnight. Doesn't happen overnight. So I think it just inspired me to take my time.
That's great.
French pointillism.
What an answer.
Thank you.
On that note, I just saw a graphic either today or yesterday highlighting some of the Grammy nominees for like New Artist of the Year.
Okay.
And Sabrina Carpenter is #1, and they show how long she's been releasing music.
Yeah.
And it's been like 10 and a half years.
Oh.
And then like
I didn't know that.
the next person is this band called like Karang Bin, and that they've been like 10. Chaperone's on there. She was at like 7. And it was just like all the nominees. I think the lowest number was like 3 point something years.
Yeah,
It's
and
just
they ain't
like,
gonna win.
Yeah, really. It was like, wow, this is new according to the industry.
Isn't that crazy?
They've been busting their butts for a decade.
It's like Jelly Roll.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's older.
It's like
Doesn't happen overnight.
not
That's
at
when
all.
when I figured out that Morgan Freeman won his first Oscar when he was in his late 60s. I was like,
Whoa.
oh, I have time. Tina Fey.
Yeah. Oh, I
Like
love Tina
so
Fey.
many people have
She's the
been,
best.
they became successful later in life. And I really think the catalyst for that success is like healing, like true healing. I really think, because you can't exercise. I feel like the part of our brains and bodies that create have to go through a wave of processes. They don't just exist on the surface. You have to go deep
Preach.
to get them to come out. And if your creativity is funneled through childhood trauma, not feeling good enough, self-confidence issues, what the end result is going to be poop. And so I think,
Yeah.
or I think the end result could suffer.
Sure.
And I think if you find a way to cleanse and clean out the space between being creative and releasing creativity into the world, I think the end result will be so much better.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes
Sheesh.
sense, but
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. What's the question again? Piece of art. My answer is going to be from a person that I've referenced before already, that's showing up twice for this question, Jacob Collier. We're recording this in December of 2024. He just put out a one-take Christmas EP.
one take?
One take.
The whole EP?
The whole EP. It's 3
How
songs.
dumb and amazing.
3 songs. And there's video of it on YouTube. I'll probably link it here. He's at Abbey Road, and he's got a choir of people, maybe, I don't know, 30 people in the room with him.
That's insane.
He's at the piano playing one song, and then he gets up and he plays guitar for the next song. And then the last song he's back on piano, but near the end, and he did this at his concert, I've talked about this in a different episode, he directs the choir in the room to finish out the song.
I think I've seen a clip of this.
And good Lord, it's just
When you got it, you got it.
so true. I don't know how he does such a good job capturing emotion in rooms of people who do not know him. With a song that we've all heard, I think it was Silent Night, that's the last song that he's directing. It's just like, okay, yeah, we all know the song, so many renditions of it, who cares, whatever. But just like, he captured magic in that room for this recording. It's so beautiful and precious, and of course he's a great player and singer and all that stuff, but just like, it's more than that. It's just so much more.
I would love to sit down and talk with him and say, like, what is your inner dialogue?
Yeah.
What has been your life history? 'Cause
I was
know
thinking the same thing. Like, what pain has he gone
That's
through?
what I'm saying. But that's the hard,
can't
that is the
imagine.
like, what is the thing Harry Potter has where you have the little, let me not even go there.
Okay.
I just feel like in order to be a creative that shifts people's perspectives and changes the world, I think a lot of the time, more often than not, your life is marked by pain in some way, shape, or form.
Yep.
And I think to myself, creatives are the most amazing people. I mean, we are them, so like pat ourselves on the back. But it's like, in order to go from point A to point B, you have to go through some crap, and then not only you have to go through it, but you have to like heal from it and do it, the healing part well too.
Yes.
And that's how you get the like result. And I'd be foolish to say that like you have to be healed to create. That's dumb.
Sure,
Sometimes
yeah.
the creativity is part of the healing.
Amen.
But I just think like some of the best voices and painters and whatever,
Yeah.
people that express creatively, people that do it well have gone through something.
Yes.
I don't know. It's just fascinating. It fascinates me. And it's like makes me grateful for my own pain. Mm-hmm. So I've gone through some bull crap.
Yeah.
And I think, thank God, because I don't think I would sing how I do, at least, if I didn't go through some stuff. It's like Chris Stapleton, something happened to that man for him to make that sound. It doesn't just come out because your life is peaches and cream, you know? So like, thank you for the bullcrap life, because it's turned out into something positive and helpful for other people. I don't know.
Yeah. I think that those brilliant artists, like they're so in touch with humanity. Because like, I'd say Jacob's at this level, and so is Stapleton. Like, they're big personalities, like they're famous now. Yeah. But their music still seems down to earth and grounded.
Yeah, like it's not missing that like human connection.
Yeah. They know where they came from. They're not forgetting that.
Hashtag don't forget.
Don't forget.
Boom, Steven. These are great questions.
Well, I'm glad you think so. We're gonna take another break. We'll be back with the rest of them.
Let's do it.
Boom. Hello, everyone. We're back. We've got 3 more left. We're about to dive in. How you doing so far?
I'm feeling so joyful.
That's great.
So glad to be here.
Okay. What number is this? 7? 8? 7?
7.
7. Yes.
8, 9.
7.
9, 8? 8, 9, 10?
7. 8.
Okay,
no. Whatever. Here
Just do it.
Who do you know personally that inspires you to be better?
Dang, there's so many people that come to my mind.
I feel like either that's the response or dang, I have no idea. For me, it's usually I have no idea.
There's a ton of people. This is gonna be, again, I've talked about her so much, but my fiance.
As you should.
She's the best person I know. Really. Yeah. I think I just watched, she's gone through hell and back in the like quote unquote church world.
Sure.
And I've watched as she hasn't let that like jade her or make her like shy away from people, loving on people. And I think for me, when somebody does me wrong, I'm like, screw you. I don't want anything to do with you. I'm never talking to you again. There's no grace there.
I'm the same way.
And she's the most grace-filled person I know.
Wow.
And so I think my darling.
Yes.
My little nugget. I just love her. Isn't that nice to be inspired by your
It's
S-O?
so nice. It's the best case scenario.
Yeah.
Like
she's
having
amazing.
Not just the baseline of love and respect and admiration, but just like...
And she looks good.
And that too, and attraction. But just like you pushing each other to be better is just like, what more could you ask for?
Yeah. She never, like I just learned, I think I've learned kindness from her.
Ooh.
Like I've learned how to, like what true kindness looks like in the face of like real opposition or rejection or whatever. She's just, I learned how to really, what that really means to be kind.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a statement.
Aw. Hey, babe.
Yes.
I love you, babe.
Okay, I usually don't like to prepare my answers. Like I want to be in the same boat as the guests when I do these episodes. Even though I did create the questions, like I try not to think about them actively until I get here.
Sure.
Not the case for this one.
Okay.
Because this person posted on Instagram recently and just had a small little note about them and their artistry, and I was like, what? This is crazy to me. Like, this guy's incredible.
I'm excited to hear it.
His name is Charlie Powers.
Okay, Charlie Powers.
He's an artist I met, good Lord, so many years ago. Me and Gamble reached out to him because we liked his stuff, and he was in Nashville with his friend Kadri for a minute, and funny enough, we actually recorded a podcast episode. Me and Gamble were going to start something that didn't turn out to be anything.
Come on, Gamble.
Because he sucks.
We love you.
But like we hung out with them and it was great chatting it up, and I've just been a fan of his stuff from almost day one and ever since we hung out. And he posted this on Instagram, and I'm gonna read most, if not some of it, we'll see. This was the first year that really felt like I took myself seriously as an artist. It's always been difficult for me to truly go for it, but this year I did. A lot of you have believed in me long before I even believed in myself, and I'm sorry it's taken me so long to make good on that support. I'm incredibly grateful for all of you, and especially those who consider yourself fans of my music. I have a folder of songs that I promise to release this coming year and putting it in writing so it won't keep me from releasing it.
Yeah.
Starting an album this year, and I want to finish and release it in 2025, so on and so forth. And I read like that first section, and I'm like, this guy doesn't think he's an artist?
Dang.
What? How is that even possible? Like he's got some of the most creative production and all like the way he treats his vocal, because he does basically everything himself.
Artist.
Yeah, it's just like, how in the world could you not believe in yourself?
Man.
And maybe it goes back to me being like a good encourager.
I was about to say that
myself, but just like, what are you looking at? How can you not see what I see?
Okay, so
shout out to Charlie.
You consider him an artist.
For sure.
That's like who he is. That's what he emulates. What do you consider you?
Whoa, what a question. Look at you. Is this your show? That's a good question. I think I do consider myself a creative. I wouldn't go as far as to say artist for any regard, like especially not musically, not visually even. I think I'm comfortable with the creative label. Yeah, I don't know.
So you consider yourself a creative. And what do you think, what do you do that makes you feel like you're a creative?
This is a phenomenal question. I think the baseline for any creative is existing.
Oof. That's good.
And I had this thought right before I started this show. It was just like, do I feel like a creative being? And my answer was no. Because I only had a creative thought maybe once or twice a year, and maybe I would act on that thought. And with this, I was like, okay, no, like, I think I just am creative because I was created. Like, God is creator, or even like my parents, like they birthed me into this world.
Dang.
Like, I'm here to create.
He's the ultimate creative.
Yeah. Like,
and if we're modeled after him, then we must be too.
Exactly. So like just existence in general.
That's
so we're all
good.
creatives. We are. The way I expound on that could be limitless. Like I'm doing this now. Who knows what my next venture is going to be? I don't know.
Dang.
So yeah, I don't know.
So do you take yourself seriously as a creative?
I'm beginning to more and more.
Praise God. That's because that's what his thing was. He's finally taking himself seriously as an artist. Okay, got it. Thanks for that.
But yeah, I think it does go back to just the encouragement thing. Like, I see this guy and I've seen him for years and thought like, this dude is it.
He's like the guy with a name like Charlie Powers.
Right?
Yeah.
And then he puts this on, I'm like, wait, you didn't think you were it?
Yeah.
How is that possible?
Dummy.
So yeah, hopefully this is a shot in the arm. Just like, dude, and I've texted him many times randomly, just like, I love your stuff. It's creatively inspiring to me.
Dang.
And he seems like he's been appreciative of it.
Yeah.
Well, here I am saying it again. Your stuff is great, dude. Like, come on.
And he now finally can receive it.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Wonder what we're missing out on because we're not able to receive it yet.
Ooh.
That's so good.
That is a good point.
Dang. Open me up, Lord.
Yes. Okay, here we go. Question number 9.
Okay.
Do you still believe in love?
Absolutely. Oh, no, beyond a shadow of a doubt, yes. Because I love. I think it has to start. A therapist, I went to therapy many times and still going. It's one of my favorite things.
Yeah.
And he said I was having problems, just in full transparency, with when I was engaged, like just struggling with things. And he said, this is the like roadmap internally for love. God loves you, and then you love yourself, and then you love other people. But if you don't love yourself, then it's not going to be able to be translated correctly.
Yeah.
And it comes out in misexpectations and a whole bunch of issues.
Yeah.
But after I was able, the first hard part is being able to receive the love from God.
Preach.
And that took me the longest.
Preach.
Because I didn't feel worthy of it yet. And so I'm able to receive love from God, and I think I'm in the process now of being able to give that love out unfiltered.
Yeah.
Like let it just be a byway out of me. Right now, I think I receive that love from God, and then I do stuff with it, and then I give it to other people broken.
Yeah,
But I'm working on that process.
Yeah.
Boom! Jeez. I love
love. What's that verse or whatever? I'm so bad at all this. Like your cup runneth over, blah blah blah. Somebody was preaching on TikTok.
That was deep, Stephen. Hallelujah.
Yes. Someone was preaching on TikTok saying like, you're not supposed to be pouring into other people. Your overflow should be going into other people. Like you should receive, and then whatever is coming out of you will go under. I was like, whoa, okay.
It's like the analogy about giving air. If a plane is going down, you're gonna die if you don't take it for yourself first.
Yeah.
And you're not a bad person for that. Like you have permission to love you first.
Whew.
In some way, shapes, or forms. Love is selfless, obviously. Love is patient, love is kind. We know all the Corinthians stuff. But I think there's no way for you to love somebody efficiently and well if you don't know how to love yourself first. I really believe it.
That is so well said. Jeez.
You can love them from a broken place.
Yeah.
But no thanks to that. Dang.
Yeah. My answer for this episode is going to be yes.
Okay. Has it been no before?
No, it's gotten real close. It's real close.
No, Steven.
But I mean, good Lord, everything you just said was just so true. And even going back to when I did see that TikTok of like the overflow, I was just like, yeah, what am I doing? I'm exhausting myself trying to manufacture the love I think I can give when in reality I should just take from above.
And if it's manufactured, is it love?
Who knows?
You know?
Exactly.
Maybe the intention is love.
Yes.
But
what you're giving isn't there. It's it's tainted a little bit.
Dang. Love is complicated, but it's also simple.
I hate that.
I know. The best things in life are that, right?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Dang.
Sheesh.
That was a good one. I like that question.
Nice.
Woo!
Last one.
Last one.
Number 10.
Let's do it.
What do you want to be remembered for?
Dang. That's deep. I ultimately want to be remembered for somebody. It's a multifaceted answer.
Sure.
And that's a big one to throw on somebody, so thanks a lot for that. I want to be remembered for somebody, of course, that feared God and loves the Lord. I think that's like the very fabric of who I am, and it's a big part of why I get up in the morning. But I want someone to, like people talk about, like if you say like when I get up to sing and say I sing a song that makes somebody really feel something. Ultimately, that's not me. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm an expression of some other force. I'm every human, from Beyonce to Led Zeppelin to Michelangelo to all the people that have expressed something out into the world. Ultimately, that like creativity they didn't manufacture. They drew upon some source, whether they know it or not.
Yeah.
And I think I just want to be known as somebody that draws from that source well, and draws from that source without selfish motivation. I want people just to see God. I want people just to see Jesus. And if they don't remember how I looked or how I sounded, but they remembered that they felt something with my art, or they felt God, most importantly, with my, like what I put out into the world and my job's done, I don't really care about me being remembered. I care about like, ultimately, at the end of the day, like the gospel being furthered. And I don't necessarily, I mean, of course I mean that by the text, the scriptures, like all the things we all love. But I think like there's something that's not like quantifiable about Jesus, about God to me.
Yeah.
There's something that I can't like pinpoint or quantify or chart out about him that I think comes through somebody that's creatively expressing. And I just want people to remember that facet of the infinite God through me.
What an answer.
Dang.
I don't think I've ever thought I'd hear the phrase facet of the infinite God from you or anyone, really. What a sentence.
I think so. Dang. I'm curious to know yours.
Sure. I've tried to have something different for every episode. And
That's tough, Steven.
It's been very difficult. And funny enough, I was asking Maddie Walt, who I work with, in A&R at Centricity.
Did he do this?
No.
Okay.
I asked him, hey, what do you want to be remembered for? And he had some good answers, and I was like, what do you think I want to be remembered for?
Yeah.
I was like, I'm running out of stuff here.
Yeah.
And he gave me such a lovely compliment. And I know it's true to me because I created this in my mission statement, which is a reference to a past episode.
Yeah.
This book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People,
Love.
makes you
So good.
create a mission statement for yourself. And in mine, it's very long, but some piece of it was just like, I want to be a safe and an open place for other people to have their voices heard that normally would not have. So in me asking Matt, like, hey, what do you think I'm good at or want to be remembered for? He's like, you're very good at making space for people. And I was
Dang,
like,
Steven.
whew, that touched my soul.
You are.
Thank you.
Dang.
So I think that's the answer. It's just like,
Making space for people.
I guess continuing to do that. If people are already seeing and feeling that.
You
I'm
have
just
like the resources to do it. So maybe you're anointed to make space.
Maybe.
That's what you did for me.
Maybe, yeah.
Dang.
Yeah, I'm very passionate about that. Especially people who don't already have a voice in the place that they're trying to get into. Because like that's kind of how I felt getting into Christian music.
Me too.
Yeah.
Dang.
Being on the industry side and being a black body, which there's not a lot of that in the contemporary Christian music / worship space. And there's this song from Andy Mineo called Nobody's Coming.
Love.
And he says in that, like, what if what we're waiting for is like, what if we're what we're waiting for? Like, what if what we prayed for is who we are? I'm butchering it, but something like that.
The sentiment's there though.
Yeah. And I'm just like, whoa, what if that is true? Like, the thing that I wanted, the thing I needed, like, a mentor for, or just, like, how to navigate, like, what if that thing I've been praying for, what if that's me? Whew, that's powerful, bro.
Wow.
So,
And
like,
how like God, I think.
oh, my gosh, yes.
It's like the thing you've really been wanting the whole time is actually here. Like, annoying that you did that, but thank you.
Totally. So, in my experience and in my mind, like, having the success of, like, okay, I broke in, I made my way into the industry. How do I make space for more people like me or more people who want to expand the network and just like match the kingdom of God? Like, it's not just gonna be white folks up in heaven. Like,
So what do we do? Do you create a collective?
I don't know, man.
I think you could easily do something like that.
You think so?
Like something for people that look like you,
Sure.
that want to be advocates for people that make space in Christian music, whether that's through A&R or publishing or whatever, however they see fit. Why don't you create something like that?
Yeah, why don't I?
Why don't you? You have so much time on your hands.
Exactly.
That would be sick. We need it.
I think you're
It's
right.
discouraging to me, that aspect of the industry, because I came from an opposite perspective. I was the minority in life.
Yeah.
I was around a lot of people that didn't look like me, and so I was used to that. And when I came here, I was like, where are all the people that I've been used to seeing?
Yes.
And that's been discouraging because I think that there are stories unique to the experience of somebody being African American, Latino, Asian, Middle Eastern, whatever, that we are missing out on in the Christian industry. And I think that how can you reach those audiences from someone else's story or perspective? You need those people.
Yeah.
And so I feel like we're missing out on a whole facet of what this industry could be or what it could mean to the world because we don't have the right people having these experiences. And I think there was a pastor a long time ago, I got up and sang, I was like 15 or something. And I went to this church in Chicago and I sang His Eyes on the Sparrow. I was the only white person there. And I tore it up, I had the best time. And he said, I think part of your job is to... That's my favorite movie of all time, Steven. You take the top, I'll take the bottom. Why? Oh my gosh, that's a jam. When she starts singing Lauryn Hill at the end,
tears.
Okay, this is another episode. He said to me, I feel like you're going to have an anointing to bridge the black and the white church because you stand in the gap between both of them. And I thought to myself, what in the hell are you talking about? I'm a 15-year-old kid and I'm scared out of my mind singing in front of you guys.
Yeah.
But I think it's been one of my natural heart's cries because some of my closest people in life don't look like me,
Yeah.
and I have learned so much from.
Yeah.
Because thus is life. You get around people that aren't like you, so you can learn and grow and be better.
Yeah.
And so I think I'm like, you're missing out on so much. The people that are closed off to that idea,
Yeah.
and it makes me really sad. And if there's anything that I can do in my like little tiny world to like hold space for those kind of people
Yeah.
that don't look like me or don't sound like me, whoever they are, whatever they look like, I think then if I find a way to do that, I've done my thing
Yeah.
too. I think that's part of this question
Yeah.
for me.
We have very similar upbringings because, like, I was kind of the opposite of you. Like, I grew up in black church for a long time, but when I moved to Alabama, we started going to a white church. And
Yeah.
just that area in general is full of white people. And then I go to college, and it was the same thing. Then I transferred schools, it was the same thing. So it's just like a lot of my formative years were in a place that, for the most part, wasn't really checking for me. Like, they weren't making sure my people's needs were met. Like,
You know, Stephen, that perspective was not for no reason. I really believe that God let you go through that.
I think you're right.
And stand in that space for a purpose.
Yeah.
He does, nothing in the kingdom of God is wasted, good and bad.
Yeah.
And I think that that's part of it, your story. That's really cool.
yeah, so just having those experiences, feeling like there wasn't space for me. Oh boy.
Dang.
Now growing up and be like, I'm not gonna let that happen to nobody
Come
else.
on.
Like, I'm gonna make sure that
Let's go.
we can all eat. Yeah.
Let's eat.
Let's see.
Let's freaking eat.
Woo, that was good. You get me emotional.
Dang.
We're gonna take a quick break. We'll be right back with the outro. Don't worry about it. Welcome back, everyone. This has been a moment of friendly introspection with Stephen Floyd, featuring Bay Turner. Thank you for joining me.
What's up, guys?
This has been a good one, man. I mean,
This has been nice.
I was very close to tears many times.
Me too. And what did we learn? It's okay to cry.
It's okay to cry.
We can be
Oh,
in touch
man.
with our emotions.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Dude, where can the people find you? Socials or whatever?
Everywhere. You can find me everywhere at Bay Turner Music, B-A-Y.
Yes.
Bay Turner Music. Instagram, YouTube, Facebook if you want.
Sure.
There I am. Yeah, Spotify, I'm just Bay Turner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your favorite song right now? It's all right. That might be a big one.
Talk Down by Dijon. I've been on a Dijon kick.
Talk down, turn radio down. It's like- so good.
I'd love. He's one of those like the creatives that we've been talking about
Yeah.
that express naturally.
Yeah.
He's one of those. I think he
Absolutely.
just does the thing. It's like he has his own sound that's not replicatable, whatever the word is.
Sure.
Is there a word for that?
Replicable?
Sure, whatever he said. And I think that's inspiring to me. I love that. It's like gives my brain new possibilities.
Yeah.
So I could go on. There's 3,000 million other songs I could tell you right now, but that's the first one that came to my mind. Yeah.
Okay. You can follow me on Instagram at steflo55, STEFLO55. And you can follow the show at A Moment Pod on Instagram and YouTube. And TikTok might be going away. So if
But we might be adding on Christian Mingle,
hey,
Harmony.
chill.
That's Stephen. I'm kidding.
thanks for joining us for a moment.
Thanks, guys.
See you next month.